got asked a question about like if I would weigh in on my thoughts on the cryptocurrency executive order. So I think that is executive order, if I remember right, 14067. Someone will probably correct me. I read it, and it says pretty much what I thought it would say. It was going to be kind of a nothing burger, and it kind of says everything about the administration that we like. I think anybody out there in the orange internet money space, okay, the hardcore guys, the maxi guys out there, I think some of you were kind of thinking that maybe Trump was going to bring to the table something that was going to be good. No, that is not the Trump modus operandi. I don't think you've been paying attention to how Trump operates. Trump promises you the moon. He promises you absolutely everything. He agrees to everything you want, fundamentally. And then just like just like every movie devil character out there, like you're promised everything until you read the fine print, and then you realize, oh, he's really giving me nothing in return. Like, yeah, that's... In fact, you're not only getting nothing, you're getting less than nothing. Basically, what it says is that we're going to look at the idea of shitcoinery and just continue the idea of shitcoinery, but we're not going to call it a CBDC. We're just going to call it a shitcoin, but then we're going to accept it. I mean, like, that's really kind of all it said. If you read it contradicts itself, and it's because, again, the people that are writing this stuff know nothing about actual hard money. They know nothing about this stuff. These are guys that work. It's written predominantly people who work in finance. That is a very broad term, and most of these guys only know one way of thinking, and that is in terms of dollars. They only know how to think in terms of shitcoinery, dollar shitcoinery. That's all they know how to think. They can't think outside that. A few of them can, and most of them are malevolent. They don't want a hard currency because that directly benefits the actual people who do all the actual work in this world. That is just the truth. Because then you can't steal it back from them in terms of inflation, right? If I hire you to do a job and I pay you, I'll use gold as an example, only for example purposes, because I don't want to get into the argument over the different coins. But if I pay you, let's say, 1 ounce of gold a week, 1 troy ounce of gold per week, it's very difficult for me to steal that back from you in inflation, right? Because you can spend that anywhere. You don't have to spend it in my company store, right? Okay, so the dollar, if you want to think of it in those terms, is a shitcoin that is for use in all of their company stores that are all pretty much owned by BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, right? Which means they're all owned by the same basic handful of people. Are you following along with how that works? I used the example of Disney bucks years ago, but company store is probably a more apt way of explaining this. So in this executive order, it says, hey, we also reserve the right to pretty much steal your coins whenever we want to. If dollar supremacy seems threatened, or we believe that it's threatened, then we reserve the right to basically just steal everything from you. That's like anybody who thought, any of you guys out there that are in the orange internet money space, if you thought that Trump was on your side, you are a fool to trust him. I have been saying this for months now. You are a fool to trust this man with anything in the matter of hard money. His entire claim to fame is being able to borrow billions of dollars, billions of fake dollars, conjured from nothing, from a handful of international bankers. That is his entire claim to fame. I know that you see the suits, you see the bling, and you see the guy talking at you, right? Because that's what he does. He talks at people, not to them. And it's very obvious. You can see it. I mean, like, dude, come on. Anybody can do that. Okay? I mean, that's easy to talk at a bunch of people. It's very difficult to talk to them and then take what they're saying seriously and say, well, how can we make this better for all the Americans as opposed to just a handful of people that are in the ruling class, the oligarchs? How can we make it better for everybody? Well, you make it better for everybody by not stealing from them. Remember, we talked about this just yesterday. Just yesterday I did a video where I talked about the idea of synthetic poverty. That is not a new thing for me. I've been talking about that for a long time. But yeah, I mean, that is exactly what this is. So, the people who are doing all the work, okay, people who are doing all the work, if you can steal it back from them in terms of inflation, in terms of their spending power being lost, then you have effectively a shitcoin. You have a currency someone else controls the valuation of. Okay? So, I mean, I hope that answers your question, but I didn't see anything in there in particular after reading it myself, and I read it twice to make sure I didn't maybe miss something. Most of it is just like, talking about the different ways to implement it and so on. It's like, I'm not going to read the whole thing to you because I'm not John Yoshida, and I'm not going to spend 20 minutes reading all that. I'm just pointing out that I don't think that it is definitely not the W, that everybody thought it was going to be. It's not, and I didn't think it would be. Remember, dollar hegemony is what all of these fake billionaires and all of these oligarchs rely on. And that is not just to the US. That includes all the other countries out there. All the big mega countries out there that have their currencies. It's all of them. It's all of them. There's no grass greener on the other side. These are all the same basic powerful people all vying for position to try and be dominant. That's all it is. Do you really think that $500 billion, the $500 billion that's going to go to this, mRNA, AI, come on, dude. And nobody wants that, right? Nobody, to my knowledge, really voted for any of that, right? I mean, at least I didn't. That wasn't on my bingo card. So, yeah. So this is just where things are going to go, and that's all I got. I hope that answers your question.